The average American every year will consume in the ballpark of 29 pounds of French fries, 23 pounds of pizza. You'll gulp down 24 pounds of ice cream for dessert and wash all of that down with over 50 gallons of soda. America, what are you doing? We all need to eat healthier, and we all go on these junk food and sugar binges, unfortunately. Well, joining us to talk about this is a rather renowned expert, not only here in the tri-state area, but across the country. Dr. Robert Silverman doubles as an author. He has written this very knowledgeable book, Inside Out Health, and he is our guest today. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Silverman. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, I mentioned these junk food and sugar binges. Now, we all have them. You know, we're going out to a football party or we're just hanging out with our friends. We don't eat the healthiest stuff. What is the best way to rebound? Since we've already got the bad food in us, what's the best sort of damage control, so to speak, for one of these binges?
That's a great question because, you know, I always like to tell everybody, try to avoid it as much as you can, because doing a binge is so deleterious to your health. So just eating all those sugar that you were talking about can age you more. Just one sugar binge can age you more than a whole pack of cigarettes. It's certainly going to affect your short and long-term health. But if you want to avoid it, I would give you a 4-point plan. Number one, I would ask you to reboot in the morning and reboot with some real healthy, unsweetened almond butter. Number two, I would also consider some lychee fruit polyphenols fabulously. And also, plan ahead. Plan your breakfast tomorrow. Plan with some avocado egg toast. And finally, try and add some prebiotic fiber foods. Great choice.
Yeah. Now you hear prebiotic, there's also probiotic.
That's
I know
correct.
a lot of yogurt fans are familiar with probiotics. So what's the difference? I understand prebiotics are better for you.
Well, prebiotics and probiotics are really different, as you alluded to. The prebiotic is like some of the foods over here.
Yeah.
So we've got the garlic, we've got the onions, we've got the kombucha. They're great prebiotics. They're undigestible fiber. And the big key to them is they feed your probiotics, which are good bacteria. Those probiotics, the good bacteria, take care of your intestinal lining, which is a key to overall health.
And if you've never seen one of these before, folks, they are definitely a good thing to have. They look like coconut on the inside. Now, you mentioned the avocado egg toast. Definitely a good breakfast idea. They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Now, why would you say, I mean, yes, it is, but why would you say that having that good breakfast is the best defense against the sugar or the junk food binge, likely the night before?
Absolutely. Breakfast is by far the most important meal. Grandma had it right. And the reason is, what happens is you'll start to recognize that you had a sugar binge because you'll get this big up. The sugar will really get you up, but it just has a crash, this precipitous drop, and you start feeling lethargic and you start getting hungry. So that toast is fabulous because it's gluten-free toast, no gluten, and avocado. The key is that avocado, it's a superfood, and it's actually a fruit, and within that fruit, it's got some great oils to help with digestive issues and help you digest the sugar. It also has a great fat, which also lowers blood sugar. So you're not going to feel that rebound effect, because that's what happens with sugar. You go up, you come down, and then you bounce back up.
Speaking of toast, in case they don't want the avocado, I mean, it's not a good idea to turn it away, but almond butter differs from peanut butter in a number of ways. Now, we've talked before about how peanuts, they're not actually nuts, they're legumes, but almond butter it breaks down sugar a certain way. Why is it so good for you?
Almond butter is different than peanut butter because it's got added vitamin, minerals, and fiber. And because of that, it really enables you mechanistically to decrease blood sugar. So it's a much better choice over peanut butter for overall health and also for blood sugar binge issues.
Yeah. Now, polyphenols are something else. Those help with blood sugar levels as well.
Yeah, polyphenols are great. You're going to find polyphenols in this great organic coffee. All your coffee should be organic, and you're going to have it in this lychee fruit extract. Yeah. So polyphenols are antioxidants. They're chemicals that are actually found in fruits, and they enable you to have a health outcome. They decrease your incidence of blood sugar, CVD, cancer, and neurodegenerative diseases.
The majority of us need that caffeine kick in the morning. Now, if we drink too much of it, we might need to adjust our water intake. It's been said that 8 glasses of water is probably the best. That's about 64 ounces, give or take. It does depend somewhat on body weight, body size, also how much of coffee or some of these other things you have. Kind of talk about that.
I agree with you. I have the coffee in the morning, but it has to be organic. Okay. And the reason it has to be organic is coffee is the 3rd most sprayed item in America, a lot of pesticides. But to speak to the water, you need more water because coffee will strip you. It kind of gives you something called diuresis. Makes you go to the bathroom a lot. So within that, you want to add specific water. So the rule of thumb, like you alluded to, is 64 ounces is great, but it's about half your body weight in water. That's where the sweet spot.
Yeah. Now the junk food binge, like I mentioned up at the top, I mean, we all do occasionally go through with it, whether we avoid foods like red meat or whether we try to stay away from processed sugars. How do you avoid feeling guilty about that junk food or that sugar binge?
You know, that's a great question. Number one, about feeling guilty, I'll give you a 4-part plan. Number one, I would tell you, get rid of everything in your refrigerator that's going to tempt you. That's a critical element. Get rid of that.
So the leftovers.
The leftovers. Just get them out. Just
Yeah.
go in the fridge, get everything out that's tempting, clean it out. Number two, watch your condiments and watch your sauces. Condiments and sauces have a lot of hidden sugar, which will put you on that slippery slope and that wave once again. Add lemon. Add lemon to any water or tea, makes it tasty, and it's also a great diuretic to strip the body of sugar. And finally, avoid that little comatose nap.
Yeah.
Get your body moving so you start burning some sugar.
After Thanksgiving dinner, I know people talk about a food coma, or they could talk about that after any heavy meal. It really is, it could be the tryptophan in the turkey, but it's just also any food. If you have too much of it, it can put you into that coma.
For me, to avoid that coma, probably the biggest takeaway I would recommend is lychee fruit extract.
Okay.
It's that fruit that you referred to
Yes.
before. It's fabulously tasty, but what I love about it is that it tastes great, but in addition, it's got a plethora of these polyphenols, rocket ships. It's so high. But the problem with the nut, we call it a nut or a fruit extract, is that it's really high in sugar. So being so high in sugar, I recommend a supplement. That supplement will give you all the polyphenols without the sugar. The supplement I recommend that is there is oligonol, O-L-I-G-O-N-O-L. The oligonol has been research-based, a lot of research on it to decrease blood sugar, decrease insulin resistance, and believe it or not, and this pertains to a lot of people out there, really great for visceral and body weight fat right over here.
Because I know if the brain is triggered by sugar, that releases more insulin, and that you know, it does different things to the body. And I know that sugar is probably the worst offender as far as gaining a spare tire, gaining a gut right there. That's probably the worst.
Absolutely. Sugar is a toxin. The average American consumes 160 pounds of sugar per year. Sugar is a toxin. It is more addictive than cocaine in lab rats, 94%. So let's stop consuming sugar. Stick to the GPS of health. No gluten, no processed food, no sugar. Take some oligonol, take some kombucha. Things will be good.
Now the sugar in fruits, since it's not processed, it's a little bit better for you, all in all?
It's a little different. It's what they call fructose.
Okay.
So there's a big argument about that because most people think fructose is high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup is something that is synthetically made. Fructose comes from fruit, so fruit sugar doesn't have the same effect or the same adverse effect as regular sugar and this synthetically made sugar. Remember, Jack LaLanne said, if man makes it, I won't eat it.
Now, you mentioned some of those myths or debates out there. I know that 25 years ago there was one so-called expert who talked about eating according to your blood type. It's not like, for instance, I have O positive, so that would probably warrant a protein-heavy diet if that were true, but that's not really the case as we now know.
No, right now we all know that the standard American diet, which has an acronym of SAD, is without question the worst diet in the world because we as Americans are the leaders in obesity. So my suggestion for diets is to get somebody to work with you to individualize it and personalize it for your needs and your wants and your genetic makeup. A lot of these flash in the pan or fashionable diets really don't work well. Big thing is don't eat processed food, avoid gluten, try not to add any extra sugar, and of course if it walked and it's natural, it's something that you may want to consider to consume.
If it comes from the earth, it can't be that bad.
Right, if
Yeah.
God gives it, it's a gift.
Yes, okay. Now there's also one stigma that I know some people believe, and that's that you see at any fast food restaurant, a burger or a chicken sandwich can be as cheap as $1. A salad at the same place will be significantly more expensive. Some people think that healthy foods are not affordable. Now, it's really not the case.
No, as we talked about before, the perception is that healthy foods are one, they don't taste as good, which isn't true, and two, they're more expensive. Yeah. So number one, healthy foods taste really good, and number two, healthy foods are actually cheaper than some of the crappier foods, if you will. Not just up front when you make a purchase, but down the road for overall health and your productivity. Don't be afraid of eating something healthy. It will taste good, and you got to take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live.
The heredity plays into it somewhat. I mean, different people can consume different amounts of sugar and not gain as much weight. I mean, but even if your heredity is great, you can still make yourself unhealthy. I mean, would you say that there is a great deal of heredity playing into different people's body types and what they can consume?
What they've looked at is about 10 to 30% is your genetic makeup. The other 70, 90 is controllable. So that's why these type of interviews on TV are so important, because you got to get the information out there, and you got to start now. And with all, big idea with the sugar and the sugar binge, and that sugar just being so consumed so much, let's stop using so much sugar. Let's start considering the things that are up here.
I mentioned the book, Inside Out Health. It's a fantastic thing to have, so definitely pick up a copy. Now, where can people go to find more of your tips online, or, hopefully they do pick up the book, but where can they find more of your tips?
Book Inside Out Health. My website is drrobertsilverman.com, and come like me at Facebook. Why not? Let's get some social media.
Absolutely.
Dr. Robert Silverman. Got a great professional page. We post 3 times a day. We talk about all the things here. We talk about the oligonol, and it's a spot to take a quick look and get your health information for the day.
Yeah, based in Westchester County, but I know you can reach out to anybody, and thanks to social media and a lot of these things.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, we thank you so much for being our guest today and wish you the very best.
Thanks for having me. It was yours in health, my friend.
Thank you very much. Again, Dr. Robert Silverman, author of Inside Out Health. Definitely go on Amazon or anywhere books are sold. Pick yourself up a copy, because even if you look skinny or fit, you can still be unhealthy on the inside, and 70 to 90% of it is controllable, like we've talked about. Definitely eat the right things.